All right, guys, welcome back. The Moto Academy podcast. Holy moly me, oh my. It's the number one podcast in all of motocross. I got shorts on that are the same exact color as... That's going to look bad. I got to change these shorts, don't I? Gosh, freaking darn it. Hang on. I'm back, and I'm out of breath. We got pants on now. Much better choice with the pants. Guys, we got tour dates coming. We've got a whole bunch of tour dates coming. We just did summer camp. It was completely epic. And I'm going to talk about that this entire podcast. But I want to tell you guys our dates. July 18th, Mastering the Basics, brand new course featuring Mitchell. That is in Albany, MX, in Albany, Oregon. July 19th will be Adam Entignap is going to be guest instructor with Coach Mitchell at Albany MX. That will be epic as well. That's on the 19th. July 19th. Whoo-wee! Out of breath. July 19th will be DeChambeau with Tyler Medaglia. Medaglia? Not sure. Still don't know how to say it, and I've always wondered that my entire life. In Quebec, Canada. So that's going to be super cool. That guy's got a lot of bike skill. Haven't seen him in a long time. July 21st, Whispering Pines MX in BC. In Canada, that's Coach Mitchell. July 26th, Coach Mitchell will be in Maryland, Promised Land MX. July 28th, I'll be at Winchester Speed Park in Winchester, New Hampshire. Can't wait to be back there. July 28th, Coach Mitchell, Sugar Maple MX in Wisconsin. August 2nd, Tootle Motorsports featuring Coach Mitchell. August 2nd, I will be at Joliet MX in Illinois. Awesome track. And we've got a whole bunch of awesome dates all the way through the end of the year. So go check them out. Hang on, just caught something on the website that's not supposed to be on there. Okay, cool. Busy day working. Being at summer camp, what ends up happening is the whole team's there, which it's very difficult when the whole team is somewhere. I think everybody did a good job of trying to stay on track, but naturally there ends up being a very heavy week either right before or right after a trip like that. So we got summer camp coming up. Just kidding. We've got tour dates coming up, but yes, we do have summer camp coming up. So that is August 5th through the 9th in Illinois. And this entire podcast, I'm going to go live in the app. And I'm going to talk about summer camp. So I'm going to try something new by going live in the app. I'm going to do that right now. That way I could have questions and answer these guys' questions in real time. And we'll see if it works. Oh, we are officially live. Okay. Hey guys, guess what? I'm recording a podcast. So this is going to be a first simultaneous podcast recording and live stream. What I figured I would do is, holy cow, hang on a second, slow down. Who the heck hole shotted? Because I wasn't even paying attention. Dylan or Dylon. We got Dylon out there, a huge hole shot. Bull 786 and Arven's wrapping up the podium. Super solid. We got Jay Stuck in the top 5, Kenny C18. Even with all those injuries, still in the top 5. Man, that dude is just... no joke. We got William Evans. Shout out, William. Thank you for helping the entire week at Tomahawk. Mind Moto in the top 10. Meta Moto in the top 10. Solid performance, guys. I'm sure Allie will be here in an hour with the whole shot. Who else we got? Pleasantly Plump. Moto X Jim. Cowie Ryan. Wyatt. Andy Shear. Oh, we got a bunch of awesome people. Oh, Alley Cat. Hole shot. Whoa. Wow. That was a huge hole shot. Rare for her to get that big of a jump on everybody. Hunter01 in the chat. Cool. Okay, so if you guys are just hopping in, Coach Mitchell is getting on the bike as he's watching. Coach Mitchell, what do you need to practice? Maybe standing up more. The clip I saw, it looked like you were sitting a lot. Coach Mitchell, what else do you need to do? Go out first and go faster. I wish I could have been there so I could have seen what happened or how you kind of dealt with the day. Would have been interesting to watch. But is Mitchell doing any more nationals? I don't know. All right. So what the heck am I doing? Oh, for those of you just hopping on, we have a live stream. Just kidding. You are the live stream. We have a podcast that is ripping and dipping. Currently, I'm 8 minutes in. So before I hopped on with you guys, I did the tour dates at the beginning of the podcast. And now I'm going to tell the Tomahawk summer camp story the best I can of the whole week to be able to capture for podcast sake. But then I want to be able to field your guys' questions too on if you had any questions of how the week went or any questions, period. I can kind of field your guys' stuff in real time. The only problem is it's hard to read my phone from this far away. Mitchell said, brand new rider here. Shout out Mitchell King. About 8 hours on, I've watched one of your videos to help me, a lot of your videos to help me get better positioning while learning. Mitchell, that's awesome. Keep watching them. Keep watching them. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about with the summer camp is I think it was just the pure exposure and repetition of doing something over and over and over and over and over again for 5 days straight that really created impact. And that's what I liked probably the most about the summer camp is the fact that you got to either witness the change or just know that they were creating that Moto Academy consciousness is what I call it to my employees of, knowing how to recognize it when it happens in somebody else. The parents were hearing the same things the entire week. So you really start to download and assimilate that information, I think, in 5 days. So Mitchell, if you're brand new to it, you're in the right place. Keep watching the videos. Even if you feel like you're not understanding half of this stuff or you're not even ready for it yet, it's still good to just listen. And before you know it, you'll be able to basically be a coach because it's not rocket science. It's simple information. I think I do a decent job of explaining it as concise, simple, pragmatic, step-by-step as humanly possible. Yeah. So Tomahawk Summer Camp, we did it. Round of applause. Can I just give a round of applause for a whole bunch of people? Who are the people? Everybody. First of all, the parents. Shout out to all the parents because, if we had 80 students there, basically everybody had their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, a dog, redheaded stepchild. I mean, everybody was there. So shout out to the parents and the families I had multiple families specifically say, hey, the options were Bahamas for the week or Moto Summer Camp. And one of the girls and her mom, they were going to go on a girls trip to the Bahamas or somewhere cool. And instead they went to Tomahawk Summer Camp. So shout out to those people because that is awesome. Shout out to driver Jamie. Shout out driver Jamie. He fixed way too many bikes the entire week. He was on mechanic duty for the most part, and he worked as usual. I mean, driver Jamie is the hardest worker ever. Just worked so hard making sure that everybody was good to go for the entire week. And in a week, you're going to probably break stuff. I mean, even I probably crashed a couple of times. You're just on the bike so much that you're going to have a couple of tip overs. You're going to break a lever. You're probably going to pop a tire. You're probably going to need your steering stem tightened, which is an inside joke because I think Coach Mitchell told all of his groups multiple times to go get their steering stems tightened by driver Jamie. So one whole day, driver Jamie was just tightening steering stems for people, which is hilarious. Driver Jamie also had to send out a couple of rescue missions. We had one student have a concussion and he's all good to go. But I think Jamie was in high alert because he was actually riding. He wasn't too far behind him. So he kind of saw it happen. And then we had a dislocated hip, which we thought it was a femur dislocated hip. He was at the track the next day on crutches and great spirits. But really grateful to have driver Jamie, who is a firefighter. He was a firefighter and a paramedic for 20 plus years, I believe. Like, to have somebody like that with you, it just gives you peace of mind. And I realized that even more so in the longer classes. So shout out driver Jamie. Shout out the entire team. Shout out HR Hannah, Jackson, Florida Ryan was there. Tony was there fielding the iPhone the whole time. And also Hannah and Tony were both really dealing with basically anything. It was like admin in real life. So if anybody had a question, they would find Tony and Hannah. That alone was a lot. Shout out Grant. Grant dove in and taught the entire week. So one of our goals with the summer camp was to get Grant some coaching seat time, just to get him in front of people. The good thing about the camp is it provides a lot of one-on-one settings because you have time to spend individual attention with people, but it also provides exposure to big group settings. So dealing with groups of 15 to 25 riders at one time as well. And then even being in front of everybody all at once, which we had 80 riders, right? So Grant got some serious practice in. So shout out Grant. Did I say shout out Jackson? I'm going to forget one team member, I'm sure. Shout out Alley Cat and Millie for hanging at the pool the whole week and driving along with me. Shout out Rob. The Rob father was there in full effect. It brought Aiden and Robbie, who helped out a bunch. So shout out Aiden and Robbie. This is definitely the time and place where I forget one person, and it's probably somebody I'm going to get in trouble for. Whoopsie daisy. Shout out Alyssa. Brand new employee. Thought Alley Cat was, she's saying Dave Drakes. Shout out Dave Drakes. Wow. Shout out David Drakes having a baby. Can you freaking believe it? I hope that's public knowledge. I don't go on social media. These pants look darn good with these shoes. Guys, I got some new shoes. This podcast and live stream is going to be all over the place. Can we just, Dave, things are different now. Look at these shoes, dude. Carbon fiber on the bottom. These are the Roger Federer, or are they the pros? I don't know. They definitely were expensive, but they're a tennis shoe. The Roger Federer ons. Highly recommend. And a super disrespectful outfit. I basically just wanted to let Dave Drakes know that my style is absolutely disgusting. And he ain't got no style. So we got the cargo pants on because you never know. We got the tennis shoes on because you never know. You might have to go for a run, which I did in them yesterday, and it felt like I was wearing a dump truck on each of my feet. They weren't the best running shoes. Also, new tour shirts. We're kind of dipping. We're not really dipping. We're full blown in the second part of the year, which means that we're hitting classes or tracks sometimes for the second time for that year, which, if you know what we do, every time we go to a track twice in a year, we have to redesign the tour shirt. So this is the same shirt that we did for the limited Jet and Hunter release, which everybody loved, myself included. Hang on, getting a phone call. Testing, 1, 2. How's the audio? I'm on mute now. Let me know. Is it working? Is it not? Am I back? Good now. So we got the new tour shirt. Pretty sweet. So if you're going to class for the rest of this year, yeah, we still got the black tour shirts, but I wanted to give you guys an option. And I've got the new tour shirt on. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. And I have so many notes I want to talk about for summer camp here. If you're listening to the podcast, just know it's going to be one of those where I might go quiet for a second or two. Ralph Eckhart, AJ, did you buy a new stroller yet? I was trying to keep this on the down low, but Allie was telling everybody, on the drive there, Millie and Allie, I'm going to blame it on both of them. They've got a lot of stuff. I was tying things down. I had Moto Academy tie downs everywhere in that van. We had the two Stark stands, which are absolutely massive. I had 2 OGO bags. We had some pairs of boots. We had a bin. And then the stroller was the thing that needed to go on top. So I strapped the stroller down with the tie down up top, strapped it with the tie down on the bottom. It was on the backside of my OGO bag so that it wouldn't catch any wind. Thought I was being strategic about it. Actually put real effort into doing it. Normally I would just slap it in there and be like, I hope this thing falls out. It's one less thing. But I took this serious because I'm like, you know what? It's Millie's beloved stroller. She loves this thing. And also that's a big item to fall out of your car while you're driving. So, but yeah, so we got to our location and took a second, but I noticed something wasn't there. And turns out stroller took flight out of the back of the bed of the truck. So, oops. Yeah, stroller's gone. Stroller's gone. No, we haven't ordered a new one, but if anybody has any recommendations. Shout out Arvenz as well. Arvenz hopped right on the Stark and just jumped the 100-footer absolutely perfectly, which is intimidating on the Stark because it's hard to time jump sometimes. Am I quiet? Am I more quiet now? Let me know. How's my volume? Yes, I am quiet. Jay Stuck? For real? Do I like bad enough to where I have to do a red flag restart? Real quiet. It's from the darn phone call. Instead of the podcast mic, I think you're speaking via the iPhone mic. I was always speaking via the iPhone mic. I can hear. I'll just talk loud. Seems fine to me. Oh, gosh, darn it. Okay, well, guys, I hope it sounds okay. Everybody's kind of saying they can hear me fine, so I'll talk maybe a little louder than normal. I've got notes because I don't want to miss parts of this story. So last week, Tomahawk. Drive there. Millie, Allie, 7 hours drive. Doug, of course, Doug. And stroller. Lost the stroller. No big deal. We move forward. We keep on trucking. Drive there pretty smooth. We went up and around like we always do. We do not go through New York City. I would rather drive a couple extra hours, even though it's not that much longer, just to avoid having to deal with stop and go traffic. I don't get stressed out in stop and go traffic, but it's just more higher likelihood of getting in a fender bender. And I don't want to take that risk with Millie in the car. So I'd rather take the long way. Drive there was smooth. We get to Tomahawk. It is absolutely the hottest that I've ever felt it there, and it's planning to be that same temperature for the entire week, which I don't check the weather. I let my team do that. I just wait till somebody tells me. I'm like a child. Somebody tells me how I need to dress for the weather. I dress that way, or just let Allie put my outfit on, and then I'm good to go. And it turns out it was going to be 100 plus the entire week. And holy cow. So we got the full summer camp effect. Monday, pull in. Everybody's already there because they either got there super early on Monday or they got there Sunday night and camped. We had a ton of campers. I'd say it was probably almost maybe 50-50 split. People that did hotel and people that camped. And people that legitimately camped in tents. I think there was a handful that did that, which is insane in that weather. So when we pull in Monday morning, it looks like a full-blown race is going on. I mean, the whole parking lot is full of campers and there's a million people. And I'm like, wow, this is actually quite cool that this is for Moto Academy. This isn't a race. Everybody's here for us. And we're going to be doing this thing together, getting better on the bikes. It's just, I love it. It's super cool. Monday, by the way, this is our very first ever summer camp. So I'm going into it not nervous, but I'm going into it curious, completely curious, because what we did is we designed this schedule to from everything that I've ever experienced, and like knowing, first of all, in the heat, and if people getting tired quicker is a factor, knowing when people to start to get tired throughout a day, how much ride time is even realistic. I had a lot of data that I could work from, and just, I know I have so much experience. So I built a pretty specific schedule, and I was just curious to see, like, how is this going to work? Is it going to be too little? Is it going to be too much? Because once the week started, we didn't stray, and I didn't want to stray too much from what we had drawn up, because then everybody would just be confused. Which, speaking of confusion, the second summer camp and all of our summer camps in the future will have text alerts, which will make life super easy. So if there is ever a change, or if there's a weather, if rain comes and we have to shift some things around, we're going to have text alerts so everybody can just check their phones, see the update, where we're going to meet and at what time. This week, it was a lot of, if we did need to make 10-minute changes here or there, or 30-minute changes here or there, which we did once or twice, it required like the whole team going out on a mission to try to let everybody know. A lot of extra work. And still confusion. So I'm excited for the text alerts for next one. I'd like to answer your questions, but I'm going to stick on the rails of my story the best I can. Yeah, I actually did bring a Under Armour. For some reason, I thought it was going to be cold. No chapped lips, mine Moto. Round of applause for my lips. No chapped lips. Mitchell bought this sunscreen. Probably not the best for you, but it was maybe one of the better options that was at the store, or some Aveeno thing. And I used it most of the days, not every day. And it was like 30 SPF, just put it on in the morning, never reapplied. But I did a good job of just trying to like stay in the shade the best I could. I have my Moto Academy, the camo bucket hat, which, as you guys know, the brim isn't big enough to cover my lips. So yeah, my lips somehow survived. I don't know if it just took that Salt Lake City trip and now we're good. I was doing well considering how freaking hot it was. So Monday we get there, hot as heck. I'm curious to see what the schedule is going to be like and how it's going to flow. And Monday we did a lot of practice motos. So I think we started with a practice moto right off the bat, which the track was rough. Not nearly the roughest I've ever seen it. But if you know Tomahawk, you know what it gets like when it's pretty rough, and it is no joke. It is up and down hills. The braking bumps get like, they're basically jumps. They're so big. Pretty unusual compared to most any practice track that you would ride. It's more comparable to a pro national track. So that was the first day on Monday. And I think there was a couple of things with that. One, I think it actually helped keep people safe because it was so difficult to ride fast that everybody was going slow enough. So the chance of getting hurt, I think, was less likely, because a perfectly groomed track Monday morning, maybe that would invite people to want to go too fast and to make silly mistakes going too fast. This track was so rough and it was so hot. People were just getting tired quickly, really quickly. So what we realized is, a few hours into our schedule, we did a practice moto. We did moto theory with bikes on the stands in the tent. Spend some time doing that like we would at the beginning of class, and then dive into stand-up drills and straight into corner drills. And we got a couple hours into the drills and I was like, oh yeah, people are already, this is Monday and I'm running people into the ground a little bit. So Monday was the only day out of all the days that felt like this feels like a boot camp more than it does a summer camp. And a lot of people didn't feel that way, surprisingly. They must just be in really good shape. I had one guy, a 58-year-old who was amazing. He was awesome. That was just saying he wanted to treat it like it was Navy SEAL, like Hell Week. Anyway, so he was just bring on anything that was painful. But Monday was no joke. So shout out to all the riders for everybody sticking with it and putting a lot of seat time in on Monday. Then at the end of each day, what we would do is film review. So I think we went live one of the nights in Moto Academy. I don't know if it worked or if it didn't, but the film review allowed us to just pull up riders' footage from that day. So I think HR Hannah was shooting it all of the days or most of the days. And then we would get real-time footage, slow speed, slow motion footage, and all different sections. So we would just study that as a group at night. And that was awesome. That was awesome because what I could do is I could kind of like set up real-time like quizzes for people and ask questions and engage the audience. Each clip I'd say, all right, is this person in the room? I'd be able to find them and give them one-on-one instruction in real time right in front of everybody, with them being able to watch the clip and then move on to the next clip and then do another quick one-on-one session with another person. So that was one of my favorite parts. I hope that people didn't find it boring. I nerd out on that stuff. I could sit there and do film review all day long. But we kept the session short because it was the end of the day. People were hot. They wanted to be able to just probably get in the AC. And I think we kept the sessions to like 30 minutes to 45 minutes for film review. But what I noticed is that that was the perfect way to put to tie up the end of the day and really create some closure on the end of the day, and even go into the next day with a bit more intention, and knowing what they needed to work on individually and knowing what the common themes were among the entire group. So that was awesome. What we did is we just got a big projector and a big projector screen, and we did it in like a wedding tent. I rented this giant, it sat like 200 or 250 people, giant wedding tent, and we did it in there. Only tough part with that is the projector only wants to work when it starts getting dark out, and it gets dark late in the summer. So it's trying to get it dark enough in there so you can see the projector. If anybody has solutions on that, to be able to more easily see something when the sun is out, that would be helpful, because we had to kind of push the film review a couple of the nights, or just deal with the fact that it was slightly harder to see. So film review was epic. The runs. Oh yeah. Monday was the only day we didn't do it. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So 4 of the mornings at 9 a.m. we met with what felt like a very good percentage of the entire group. Parents, even moms, would go out. We have a dog or two doing the runs with us. And every morning at 9 a.m. we would do a trail run. It was 1.2 or 1.3 miles, which I found to be perfect distance, because especially in that grueling heat, it was the perfect amount. It wasn't running people into the ground, but it wasn't too easy. Like, it was perfect. So we would run down to the power lines at Tomahawk on the entry to the track, and then do like a little hill climb, and then you'd pop into the trail. And the trail was perfect single track to run. It was safe. And a couple switchbacks in the trail, and then you'd pop out on the track on the very far side, and then just run the track back. So, and that was awesome. Actually, I know I said film review was my favorite, but the run was my favorite. And it was set up perfect for content, because it was an out and back essentially, but it didn't feel like an out and back. So the camera guys could just pop up into the woods. They could film in the parking lot, and then they could run up and film again in the woods when we came by the other direction. And yeah, we had some guys that were cooking. There was like 3 to 5 people, I think, that were in the front group that were moving at a good pace. But I'm pretty sure the days that Coach Mitchell did it, Coach Mitchell won, which is impressive, because I was going at not a good clip, but I was jogging probably 9 minute mile pace. And, I was mid pack. And yeah, everybody was just running at a great pace. Loved it. We had a couple kids that were crying or on the verge of crying, and we were able to kind of talk them through it, because I tell you what, 2 things. I don't think a lot of kids run nowadays. And I know that I was in a generation where it was even starting, like, kids didn't even run then. So forget about now. They probably do it less. And a lot of kids don't do push-ups, clearly. Why is the mic in front of my face? Because I'm doing a podcast in real time here. So I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Hopefully, can you guys still hear me? Shout out Max. Shout out Christian, by the way. Everybody can hear me still. Yeah, so the runs were awesome. It felt like true team building. It felt like true character building, like we were all in it together. It was hot. It was no joke. And each day to have to go out there, no heat, Rich, no ankles rolled in the woods, which was a huge win, and not a single heat casualty. That says casualty, right? Yeah. Not a single heat casualty. Each morning and each afternoon, and I was reminding people all the time that, hey guys, make sure we're hydrating, bring a bottle of water out with you. And by the way, don't just drink regular water, mix element in with it, mix some type of electrolyte powder in with it. Anything's better than nothing, even the stuff that's got high sugar or artificial flavors. I'd say you'd still want that if you're sweating that much, as opposed to just regular water, because you're not going to hydrate. And that heat was no joke. Everybody survived it. At one point, when driver Jamie was doing his protocol on the person that got a concussion, Jamie was out there riding. So he went from out there riding to leans his bike over, takes his helmet off. Now he's doing protocol with this kid, which takes, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes. And so I'm like calling for a water, and I'm pouring water down Jamie's back and getting Jamie water to make sure he's staying hydrated. The heat's no joke. And a lot of people haven't pushed themselves that hard in the heat. And when you start to experience like symptoms of, what the heck is it called? Heat stroke. Some people don't recognize the symptoms as they're having them. And so then they'll continue to push a little bit further through it. But I think everybody did a really good job of being responsible. Looped Out Leatherman was there the whole week, careful on the run, lots of loose rocks, especially in the hill. And even in the run, as I was going around to each group, not just even the older fellas, but everybody, I'm like, guys, place your feet intentionally. Like really make sure that the weight is going into, like you got that weight in your quad is engaged. Make sure you're placing the foot intentionally and pay attention. I'm like, no rolled ankles on the run. Pay attention. Be conscious of what you're doing. And everybody did a great job. I think we had a couple like little skid outs the kids did, but no injuries whatsoever on the run. Okay. So how about this? This was one of my so many favorite parts. This was one of my favorite parts. I think it was Jackson. Sorry if it was somebody else on the team. Had the idea of doing golden stars on the helmet. Remember when like Fox did, maybe they still do, I think they still do, the skull and crossbones on either the helmet or the jersey to mark race wins? This was kind of the same idea, but they were like corny little golden stars. And what we did is the whole week we were selling apparel, and there'd be different apparel out each day. We had such a variation of stuff that we would just have different stuff available on the table each day. So people were always coming by and grabbing sun hats or boonie hats, tank tops, t-shirts, bathing suits, water bottles, you name it. And for every $1 that you would spend on the apparel, you would earn a raffle ticket. And at the end of the week, we were raffling off helmets, boots, free summer camp for the next year, free classes, free signed jersey. Like we did a whole bunch of really cool stuff. I'm talking easily $3,000 to $5,000 in value. And so every $1 that you spent on the apparel was a raffle ticket, and we did the raffle at the end of the week. So the golden stars ended up also being worth a raffle ticket each. So basically they were $1 of a raffle ticket worth each one. And what it ended up doing is all of the coaches hyped up the golden stars so much that everybody wanted them. And that was like the whole week became about, okay, how can I earn some golden stars? Whether it be beating somebody in like a slow race challenge, or doing a technique really well, or asking like a good question, or completing the run for their first time on the week and because they DNF'd the run the other days. Like we were just tossing out golden stars for all of these different situations, and people's helmets would be covered with them. And it was hilarious to see how by Wednesday and Thursday it turned into a thing, which was so cool. I think it's going to be entertaining and funny on the content when the content from that comes out. And it just made a fun challenge to kind of track through the week. And then the exciting way to kind of cap off the week of doing the raffle and having a chance to win all that cool stuff at the end. Was super cool. I'm excited to see all the content because what we had going was we had Tony filming vertical iPhone footage mic'd up. We had Hannah doing film reviews footage and then also shooting still photos, those are always helpful. We had Jackson was more probably in charge of like first person. So we bought another Insta360. So we had a few of those and a few GoPros floating around. So all the first person footage, which we got a ton of. Ryan, Florida Ryan, that was our videographer when we were at Jet and Hunters, he drove up all the way from Florida and filmed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Ryan's stuff is going to be epic, and that's going to kind of follow the storyline of the week. And then we had Jacob Wood, who is one of my students from Virginia, Tomahawk days. He would have been in a lot of those early videos. He did FPV drone stuff basically the whole week. I think he only missed one day. Maybe he missed 2 days. And I feel like we might even have some of the days we had Jackson even doing vertical iPhone footage a whole bunch. So the amount of content that we've got from the week is infinite almost. We're going to be releasing fun summer camp footage for weeks and months moving forward. So it was cool how it was also a very easy way for us to get, I think, some of the best content we've got in a long time without interrupting anything that was going on that day. It was like you could just simply be mic'd up and then get that one-on-one interaction that you were having with the students, which was awesome. Let me address you guys quick and see if there's any questions. Dave Drakes, miss you, Dave Drakes. I can't believe we're gonna like hang out and we're gonna have kids playing with each other. Like that's crazy. That is crazy. All right, scrolling through run cross country. Yeah, so Dylan Miller, the kids that were smoking us, or me at least, a bunch of kids were saying they were cross country runners. So they were all excited every Monday or every 9 a.m. Mind Moto, were you anxious about filling the week with activities and drills? Yeah, I was curious because and that's the one thing. So like what we learned, one of the big things we took away from the week was that we had too much crammed into each day. It was just too much. So like when basically 5 and 6 o'clock would roll around and you'd have your final moto out there and then you'd have dinner and film review kind of tossed into one. After film review, when it was 6:30 to 7 or 7:30, there was no way it made any sense to go into then an activity or anything. It was just it was too hot. It was too hot. At that point, the team had to not kill themselves, and I had to go back to the Airbnb and to try to take a cold shower and to cool down and get a good meal and get to bed at a reasonable time to be fresh for the next day. And the students needed the same. So that was the lesson we learned, is like set the expectations a little bit different on what it looks like at 5 or 6 p.m. and after. We're going to make an edit with a bunch of really cool, I think, variations to the schedule and things we learned. One of which being like proper team meetings with everybody in the morning as well, whether it be before the run or after the run, because we would have the meetings, but they would be on the bikes and it was like yelling and kind of rushed and just like, hey, okay, group 1 is going here, group B is going here. It was less of like the set the intentions conversation, which I'd want to have, accounting for time in between. So if like a set ended at 3 p.m., there'd be another set that was starting at 3 p.m. So in the schedule, we didn't build in any like 15-minute break here or 20-minute break there. We were able to all adapt and take the breaks and just let everybody know. But I want that schedule to be built out to where it's like when you're at Loretta's, for example, and you know, oh, all right, at 2:15 is gate drop for this moto, and they stick to it no matter what. We weren't far off from that for being our very first one, but that's what I want it to be like. I wanted to have the schedule, and you know, when you look at that schedule, we're sticking to it to the second. Yeah. So that was the big thing we learned. That was the big thing I was probably the most curious about, was like, how the heck is this schedule going to flow? Answered Andy's question there. Rich, camp was awesome. It helped me get a P2 and P4 overall finish, 3rd on Sunday. That was the crazy part, is shout out Rich. There was so many people that were leaving camp on Friday and then doing a race on Saturday and Sunday. Whoo-wee! Talk about freaking commitment. Oh my gosh. Can I, as we're live in the Moto Academy app here, parents that are in this live stream, parents that were at summer camp for Moto Academy last week, or just Moto parents, period. I know I've done this recently, but shout out to you guys, because the commitment level is so selfless and so unbelievable that it's hard for me to, my dad was that way. My family was that way. He spent every dime. And he committed all of his time to making it happen, but I didn't really fully understand until now, when I see our customers and our students and their parents and their level of commitment. The fact that there was multiple, and I'm talking maybe 20 or 30 of our students that were with us the 5 days straight at Tomahawk MX were also going to a race that Saturday and that Sunday. That's maybe a bit overkill, guys. You don't have to ride 7 days in a week, but that level of commitment is next level. Shout out Moto parents. Holy crap-a-moly, because that's unbelievable. Guess what? My other favorite part. How many riders were there total? Alex Miller, I never got an official head count. I think we had right around 80. And we would have 3 to 4 groups in a rotation the whole day. To me, for what I'm used to at my classes, which my classes are typically anywhere between 30 to 60 students, it felt super manageable and it felt super easy to me, to be honest, because by the time you broke it into groups, you would have 15 to 25 people in a group, and the groups are always split into 2 again anyways, so they can watch each other. So essentially you had 7 to 15 people out in your loop working your section at once. So 7 to 15 people for one coach. I think we handle it no problem. So that was a good learning lesson too. Every time we've done it, so like the Jet and Hunter one, we did 200 riders. We did 100 in the morning, 100 in the afternoon. We broke those into 4 groups. So that was 25 riders per station. By the time you break it into 2 halves, you're at, 1 instructor for 12 riders out there on the track at a time. Manageable. So you can you do that structure, and I'm giving away all our secrets. You do that structure and you can have quite a bit of riders effectively, really effectively. Let's see. Dirt Bike Dave, shout out. Pleasantly plump. Was it too much for some riders? You know what? I feel like I didn't have anybody that I know of tap out. So I don't know if they were just keeping it to themselves, but I was asking the whole week at every night when we do film review, hey guys, how are we feeling about the schedule? Do we want to slow down? Do we want to do more? And I know it's hard for people sometimes to be the one that raises their hand or that says something, but I was prompting for that feedback the entire week. And the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and that people were enjoying it at the cadence we were going at it. So yeah, I think we did it. I really think we did it right. Nick 307, did you get a lot of old guys out there? So I think our oldest rider was, let me do this for the podcast camera too. Our oldest rider at summer camp, I think, was 58. And we had for sure a handful in their 40s, and for sure a handful in their 50s, and for sure more than a handful in their 30s. So, and we also had some really, really little guys. I think we had a large group that was 8 years old to 12 years old. And we had a bunch of teenagers. That's the coolest thing about Moto Academy is you go to one of these summer camps, especially where you have a larger group setting, and you've got every single age. And I think that's what's funny about these live streams as well, is we have people come on and you have like Baw 328, and then you have Premix Papa, even not saying you're that old, Premix Papa. And then you've got like a local A class. So you've got super young Premix Papa, just was going to call you super old, but not super old. And then you got in the middle, and they're all having a conversation together about dirt bikes. And I love it. And that's what the summer camp felt like. One of my other favorite things, circle pit. We did the circle pit of death. It was a hit, by the way. All the kids wanted to do was get back into the circle pit of death. The circle pit scared me because so what this is, it's a last man standing competition in basically like a NASCAR style circle dome where it's got giant berms and it's about 6 seconds long. So not that long, but huge berms. The reason I think it's scary is because when you get a bunch of people wedged in there, if you get high up on the berm and then like somebody takes your front wheel, or if you fall, you're falling and rolling probably all the way down the giant berm. And then you got to avoid getting run over by bikes. But what I will say is everybody was, with the exception of Jackson and Mitchell, basically, and Spencer Wilton, everybody was really good about knowing where you could kind of mess with somebody and do it safely, and then where you had to be a bit more careful when you got up to the top part of the berm. So we did it for the little bikes and we did it for the big bikes. Everybody would hop in all at once. Let's say probably 20 to 30 people in this tight little 6-second circle. And the rule was you had to stand up, your butt couldn't touch the seat, and your foot couldn't touch the ground. If you sat down, if you foot dabbed, or of course if you fell, you were eliminated. So as soon as we drop in, boom, foot dabs left and right. People are getting eliminated left and right. Then as time went on, there was different things tossed in. So, okay, now it went to stand up with one hand. So now we're all going one hand. I'm bumping people's back tires, trying to make them tip over. You got Jackson like cutting, like stopping so that you had to sit there and try and balance or else you'd run into him. It was hilarious. And now we're trying to do this all one hand. And then after one hand went for a few minutes, and it felt like an hour of going around that thing. Then it was one hand, one leg. So now you're trying to go off with your left hand and your right leg and do it. And now people are really dropping like flies. And it was awesome. I don't know how long it took in total, but it came down to one man standing. They were the champ. We did it for little bikes, and the little man on a 50 ended up winning, which was hilarious. And yeah, everybody just wanted to dive back in and do it all over again. It is fun, and it seems like it would be something that isn't productive, but it's teaching a lot of bike skill, because it's teaching to look ahead and to plan ahead, right? When you see 7 bikes or more than that spread out in one tight little corner, and you're seeing this guy messing with this guy. Okay, so that happens if they tip here, I got to be off to the right. Then you're hearing a bike coming up behind you. There's so much to process. It can teach you how to race, and it could teach you how to put yourself in safe situations when you're out there in a race, so that you don't end up in collisions or getting landed on or people running into you. It teaches situational awareness, realistically. And not only that, but it teaches balance and clutch control, because there was so many times where somebody would either tip over or purposely kind of try to hold me up, and I would have to sit there dead stop or rolling, like I'm talking half a mile an hour, just using that clutch in first gear, trying to sit there and balance. And then it was also riding endurance. So having to do it standing up for whatever it was, if it was 10 or 15 or 20-minute race that or challenge that we were all in there for, everybody's backs were on fire by the end of it. And yeah, it was a good workout as well. So shout out, I think, Jackson for that idea, for the circle pit of death. That pit's been there forever. I've ridden it a whole bunch, but yeah, I did. Who would have thought that the getting in there as a group would be so darn fun? Let me reference questions again or anything in here if you guys got them. Is 34, Jay Stuck, is 34 old, asking for a friend? I used to think 34 would have been so ancient when I was little, but now I don't really consider anything old. I would guess, I say if you're triple digits, you're getting to be up there a little bit. But my plan, I was thinking about this recently, actually. I want to live, the plan is I just hit the 1 quarter. I'm a quarter of the way done, 25% there, which means that I'm going to live until I'm 100, I'm 30. So I'm going to live until, what's 4 times 3? 120. 120 is a good number. That means when you're at 100, you're creeping into that last 20% of your life. So no, I would say 34 is not old. You should have somebody throwing in a beach ball. That would have actually been a great idea. Probably. We could do that for next time. I had Jackson come by at one point with a giant rock in his hand, looking as if he was going to throw it like a banana peel. No, you know what? He did throw it like a banana peel. He didn't throw it at the bike though. He just would like place it on the ground, but it was a big, sharp enough rock to where it would make your front end jump out from under you. And I think he actually got somebody with the banana peel move. Unreal. So we had the circle pits, completely epic. Ooh, and then another fun one that we did was, and this was for gold stars. The gold stars were coveted the entire week. We had a slow race, and at the bottom, you'd bump start or you'd start your bike, and then you would do slow wheelies back up the hill. Going up a hill is the easiest way to learn how to wheelie, because you can do it at a super slow pace. You can put the bike in first gear and it can keep you at like a crawling pace. If you go on flat ground, you might start picking up steam if you're not at the balance zone. And if you're going downhill, you start picking up speed right away. Makes it very difficult. So going uphill is a great way to practice wheelies. And so we do slow race on the way down, start the bikes up, practice slow wheelies on the way up the hill. And I did this with every single group. So that was the first time I've ever practiced wheelies with like little kids groups and beginner groups, essentially. And it was awesome. I think we got every single person there able to get that front end off the ground. There was a bunch that like had the light bulb moment of understanding to get the bike slowed down, even compress the fork, and then just that little bit and getting that pop of a wheelie up. Because at first it's people mistiming the clutch and the throttle. They're not understanding the preload effect to get the front end up in the air, and they can't get it. It's like they can't work that math out in their heads. And then once that light bulb goes off and they get it, they start doing it every single time. And it's like, well, you've just learned a wheelie. Now you just practice getting it a little higher and finding that balance point. And in slow wheelies, remembering to keep that foot on the rear brake. So that was a blast. And what I did at one point, and this is something that I used to do all the time and I had stopped doing it for a while, I'm definitely going to bring it back, is taking the little kids' bikes, because we got everybody grouped at the bottom after they practiced it for a little bit. And this was the little guy group. And I go, who here just thinks that their bike can't do it? And that the bike is holding them back. And like 8 of them raised their hand really high in the air. And I go, all right, I'm going to ride each of your guys' bikes one at a time. I'm going to see if they're capable of doing wheelies. Every single bike. KTM 50, KTM 65, KLX 110, TTR 125, KX 85 maybe, or is it KTM 85, a CR like 70 or 90, every different type of little kid's bike. Maybe did I even do one on a Cobra? Might have even done one on a Cobra 50. Got the front end up and I'm like, all right, your bike can do it. Here you go. And it did. It gave people confidence of like, oh yeah, okay. Well, he's also double my weight and my bike can do it. Let's go give it a try. And yeah, it got a lot of people to be able to do it. So that was an absolute blast. And all of these little things like that, I was considering that the bike skill drill. Then what we did is we did the S-turn drill that Rich Larson taught me, which is just 180 S-turn, 180 S-turn, 180 S-turn. You do it standing up and you try to make the tightest 180 humanly possible. So you get to the point where you're literally like almost sitting on your outside foot peg. You're so far hanging off the side of the bike, bars all the way to the stop, bars all the way to the stop again, going the other direction. And it was a blast. And it was so amazing to see how many people actually figured it out quickly too. TMA crew, did most guys stay the whole week or did people come for just a day or two? Good question. So we had almost everybody for every single day. Rob had to bow out at Wednesday afternoon. Coach Mitchell, Coach Grant, and somebody else, Spencer, flew out Friday because Coach Grant was going to do a national in Canada. Coach Mitchell was going to do Millville in Minnesota. So those guys left on Friday, which Friday wasn't coaching anyways. Friday was me doing closing ceremonies. It was us having a bunch of practice motos where I did a bunch of riding with everybody. It wasn't coaching. So that for them to have to go to the national, that worked out. Everybody else was there the entire week, which was epic. Let's see what else. The Woods. So we had Spencer Wilton, pro enduro cross rider, come and spend Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or maybe it was just Wednesday, Thursday with us. And he was just taking groups out into the woods. And there was a solid group of 8 to 15 riders every time that would gear up and go hit the single track with them and go learn log jumps. There was like a rock uphill. They were practicing, and just at certain points, they would just go for little rides. We had a bunch of little 60 guys doing that, 85s, big bike guys. So there was a good mix of people that really took advantage of that woods time as well. Spencer also did a fallen dead tree that was like 5 feet high to where it broke off and then slanted down, was able to get up onto it and then ride down the tree, which is absolute insanity. And he did it in front of the group too. So it was cool to see it was cool to see the group's reaction to it. I'm referencing notes, by the way, because I didn't want to miss certain details. So another cool thing was that we had a different track every day. What I mean by that is they watered differently each night. One of the nights it monsooned, absolute monsoon, and it was completely perfect the next day. And they groomed different sections. So day one, Monday, we show up, tracks super rough, jump faces rough. I mean, tracks national level rough. Tuesday, they groomed all the jump faces. So Tuesday, the track was still insanely rough, but now we had fresh jump faces on every single jump. Wednesday, same thing. We had maybe 1 or 2 sections groomed, all jump faces groomed again. Wednesday night, we get the rain. Thursday, we get fresh jump faces, I think, and fresh full track, basically. And then Friday, same thing, fresh full track from what I remember. And so every day you got to experience it rough in a different spot, it's smooth in a different spot, a jump face rough, a jump face smooth, and all of the above, which I think worked out really well because it maybe would have got boring if the track was groomed perfect every day. I think people would have got sick of it had it been left rough the same way the whole time. So it created, riding the same track for 5 days straight, it created enough variation to where it felt like you weren't riding the same track each of the days. So I was grateful for that also. I mean, it really couldn't have been that much better for our very first try. And I say that with a lot of the things we do, which is awesome. It means we're firing on all syllables. It means we're planning accordingly. And yeah, we're really lucky. It just gets me excited for Sunset Ridge, August 5th to the 9th. Guys, I know that's coming up, but see you, Jay Stuck. If you guys live anywhere near Illinois, if you're a 20-hour drive or less, sign up and get there because I can safely say, and we've done a lot of fun things as Moto Academy, the week long was the most fun thing. The summer camp was the most fun thing we've ever done. And the biggest, I don't know if I've said this already, the biggest difference with summer camp, and it gets me excited to have a facility to operate out of there every day, is to see the difference of what one day makes at a tour versus 5 days straight with somebody. One day tour is amazing. You can download a ton of information. You can start to begin to prioritize, okay, this is the most important thing I need to fix. This is number 2. This is number 3. And you can take away quite a bit from that. But you don't start seeing any habit change in one day. What you see from the 5 days straight, I think more than anything, you might not see the rider change necessarily like you would in one day, but you see the consciousness starting to download a little bit and the understanding really starting to like assimilate, and you see habit forming. You see the people that weren't doing runs ever do 5 days straight of runs, and by the 5th day be like, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to start doing this. Habit formed. You see people that on day 1 could barely even stand up on the bike, and then by day 5, they weren't even sitting down. They just aborted mission and sitting down. They were just standing the whole time. Habit formed. So that's what I thought was the coolest is in 5 days seeing people start to create new habits. And it gets me excited to be able to spend more weeks with people and a month and years, right? When people are living at a community, when we have it, and being able to operate with us consistently all the time, holy crap, can't wait. I can't freaking wait, because the tours are amazing, and there's a different challenge to the tours. I love meeting new people, and let's face it, that's going to be a large majority of our demographic always is people that, yes, they have their own lives, but they'll pop in, they'll go to tour for one day. So it's not realistic to expect everybody to come live at the Moto Academy community when we have it. And I love the tours just the same, but yeah, the full-time stuff is cool, and it's very different. I can dive in, I can talk about stuff I don't get a chance to talk about as frequently at the tours. Yeah. Okay. I'm an hour exactly on my pod. How long have I been live with you guys for? I got to go get Allie and the baby. They're at the pool without me, which is unfair. Peyton, do you have tips to help hand pain fatigue? I get it way before arm pump. Peyton, we just got that question recently, and I've been seeing that more and more frequently. I don't know what the cause is for that. I don't know if it's people that have like carpal tunnel or something. Usually for me, I used to have, and this is odd because it only happened for a few years. When I was like 17, 18, 19, if it got cold, my hands would get stuck to the bike and stuck around the grips because in my fingers, my bones, my fingers would hurt so bad that I had to slide my hand off the grip and pry my hands open. I never found out what did it. The cold seemed to be a factor, but then it started happening on days that it wasn't cold. I think it was just, I don't know. I don't even know what I think it was. But now that doesn't happen to me. And now I really focus on opening the grip up, rotating my hands, loose, always riding with a finger on the controls, trying to keep my thumb open even at times and just keep that thumb loose so that I don't death grip the handlebars this way. I'm really trying to ride with an open grip. Like these three fingers aren't even really holding. Pointer fingers are completely off and thumb isn't really holding. Like I'm not barely holding the handlebars when I'm doing it right. So I would say, more than anything, focus on that. Focus on hydrating and make sure you aren't actually experiencing cramps. And then, change that hand position and really focus on that hand position. Guess what? By the way, I got confirmation this morning. This is top secret. This is highly top secret because it's not on the website. Editor's note. Cut this out for the public podcast. You guys can hear it. Grant, editor's note. Cut this part out. Okay. On that note, I'm going to wrap the pod. Thank you guys for popping on here. Good to see you. I start to miss you guys after a week of not doing it. We skipped a week when I went to the UK and we skipped a week for summer camp of the live streams to make sure that I can be home with Wi-Fi and do these things right. And I start to feel a little bit disconnected and I don't like it. I love being back. If you guys need anything, send me a message as always. Moto Academy, #1 podcast in motocross. Toodles. Oh, the one-hand relay. Hold on. Mark Leatherman, I'm so glad you reminded me. Oh my gosh. That was one of the best parts of the week. Holy cow, extra credits for those where this is after the end credits have rolled. We didn't talk about the one-handed relay race. Okay, so we do a relay race on like Tuesday, I think. The problem was we had too many teams, too many riders on each team. We did it wrong. And then there ended up being somebody that got stuck in the mud, tipped over and fell in a mud hole. So I'm trying to save this girl from the mud hole. And we never even figured out who won. So it kind of unraveled. It was fun, but it unraveled at the end of it. I think on Friday or Thursday, we do a one-handed relay race. There was just 2 teams. There was like 7 people on each team. And what ends up happening is I'm talking such a wide variety of riders. Like it could be head to head as the third people going out and you could have somebody doing a 2:30 lap time and you could have another person doing a 1:50 lap time. So what would happen is it was creating so much difference each lap. Like your team could go from 40 seconds up to 10 seconds behind. And it was always the whole time it was like, oh, this might actually end up kind of close here. And the last lap, it's Mark Leatherman head to head with the oldest person that was there. And he's on a Husky 350. Mark's on his KTM 450. And number 93, I forget his first name. This is so sad. I need to remember. It's hard to remember 80 names, but I just call everybody by numbers all week. It helps everybody. Number 93 has probably, what would you say, Mark? Maybe it was a 10-second head start. Could have been more. And Mark just reels them in. By the time they get into vision and they're coming across the tabletops at the top, across Tomahawk at the top, we're like, oh boy, he's within a couple of seconds. Like he's got him right there. And 93 starts looking back. And you could tell he's like, hang on a second. How did he get to the back of me so quick? They go around the American flag corner. Now Mark's right on him. And I'm like, oh, where's he going to go? And meanwhile, everybody's freaking out because everybody's in on it. The parents are watching. Everybody's cheering. 93 decides to go outside in the corner before the finish, right before the checkered flag. Mark goes up over and photo finish. I don't even remember who won. Oh, Mark's is a 350 as well. I don't even remember who won, but it was a complete photo finish, which when you do the relay races like that, it makes it so much fun because everybody's getting into it. They're standing on the fence yelling. So shout out Mark Leatherman. Mark won after all. Dang, I didn't know that. I thought you got second still after all that. So Mark gets the W. It was a sweet comeback. It was a sweet comeback. And to get it right at the finish line, it was pretty epic. Oh, thanks, Mark, because I had that. I thought in the notes, I had one hand race in my notes and I skipped it. Okay, by the way, guys, this episode is sponsored by Element. It's literally, and I mean this literally, Element probably saved our lives the week of summer camp. We made it 5 days straight in 100+ degree weather, riding dirt bikes in full gear the entire days. It was one of the most physically demanding things I've probably ever done. It felt like it was a boot camp. Yes, it was fun, but it was extremely physical. I drank roughly 3 to 5 packs of Element each day, lightly mixed into my water all throughout. Never cramped once. Woke up in the morning feeling fresh without like that dehydration headache, and I felt brand new every single day. It literally saved me. It made me be able to operate at 100% the whole week. Find a good electrolyte powder. Well, you don't have to find it because I found it for you. Element is that electrolyte powder that you guys want. Go to drinklmnt.com/AJCat330 and you can try 8 flavors for free with that order. And they're a sponsor of the podcast, which means that they pay money to support us, which is super cool. So show one of our sponsors support. And it's a great freaking product, or else I wouldn't talk about it. You guys too, if you haven't tried it, try it. I know Leatherman and everybody can attest that was there. Element was saving us the whole week. Okay, that was fun. Toodaloo. See you guys.